So the question came in about how to flip machining so that all of the machining is always on the liner side of the material. So this is an example where it might be liner with a laminate, and so the machining wants to always be on the liner side of the material. A lot of our customers, when they set this up, would typically use a liner up and a liner down material, technically the same sheet, but when it goes to the nesting machine, it'll nest those parts on different sheets. In this case, the customer wanted to have those materials show up with the parts on the same material and do all their machining on the liner side and then flip those parts where needed to machine on the back side. Microvellum has a couple of different options for flipping parts that can be done as individual components or as a full sheet where they run the face 6 or the back side of the sheet first. So we'll have a look at in this video how we do that, and so we'll see how that's set up in the specification groups where we can review that in the parts list review to take a look at that, how we set up the machining, change the machine point, and how that works for the nesting. Then we'll process that out to work order to take a quick look. So if we take a look at what we have here, so I've got two different products. I have a door cabinet with finished ends, and I have an open cabinet with unfinished ends. So on the door cabinet with finished ends, the laminate would be on the outside of the material, the liner, the white, would be on the inside of the material. On the open cabinet, the liner would be on the outside, the colored laminate would be on the inside. So set this up a couple of different ways, and I did that in the specification groups here. So we can have a look at our specification group, and this would be the way that most of our customers would set this up, default sided material. And so if we look into our materials specification group here, in the material file, we can see we've got these materials, and we sort here, we've got liner PL1, meaning the liner is face up, and then down here we have PL1 liner. And so when we process that through, we'll see those parts nested out on separate sheets. The other specification group that I've set up here is for the case where this customer wanted to always have the laminate side down and use the liner material as the machining face. And so we can set that up here by looking at our current material. And so here we have liner PL1, and we've got that set for all of our parts in here. So for our products here, we've got the specification group set, and if we look at these cabinets, we've got door cabinet with finished ends, and this is set to the Imperial decorative laminate. These two cabinets are set to our other specification group. And just to double check what that looks like, if we go to our parts list review, and we'll just do a window around those two products and see what we have, we'll get a parts list for those, and we can see here we've got some liner PL1 materials and some PL1 liner materials. If we do the same for our next group of products and we go to parts list review here, we can see that these ones have just the liner PL1 material. So these are all on the same material. So we'll take a look at what that means for our nesting, because now on these products we want to set this so that the machining face, what we call the machine point, is always on the same face as the liner. So what I've done in this product, I've gone ahead and put a formula in here that says if it's an open finish and it's a left finished end, then do a machine point on the one face, and otherwise do a machine point on the other face. And so what that looks like is, if we look at our part properties here, we can see that a little more clearly. And if we look at our origin, we can see where the machine point is right in the corner there. So we've got our machine point on the inside face of that part. Now with that same formula on our open cabinet, we can see when we look at our left side, then our machine point is actually on the outside of the part, and that means that that face is going to be where the machine face goes when it comes to nesting. And so to look at the formula that we have in there, we can just have a look at that, and we've got our formula there that we can use for this application. So it's choosing the machine point based on which face of the material would actually be the liner. So, and when we create a work order, this one will behave as you would expect. All those parts would show up with phase 5 machining on those parts, but we'll go ahead and create work order for these parts, and we can just do that by selecting those products. We could select all of them if we wanted, but just for the sake of clarity, we'll just say process just that one. So just like in our parts list review, you can see all of our materials here. So I'm just going to assign those particular parts to our processing station, and we'll nest those out. And so if we say process on that, it's going to ask us, do we want to flip those parts? And the reason it's asking for that is because it's found machining on only one side of those parts. So if this was a normal setup, the way that most of our customers would do that, yeah, you'd want to flip those parts. You can actually set this in the material file to always flip or never flip. So in this case, the customer would want to set this to never flip so that it didn't ask this question, but I'm just going to leave it alone and say don't flip those parts so we can see the end result here. And so it's gone ahead and nested those parts. And if we look at our nest drawing for those parts, we can see we're actually nesting with the backside machining, which is the red side. So those parts are all getting nested on that same material. The liner face is up for these parts, and the machining is going to happen on the laminate face for these parts. And in this case, the machining is happening on the other face. Happens that we needed 2 sheets to make all these parts. That's the only reason they're on 2 separate sheets. It's just the first and second sheet of that same material. And so that's a way that we can customize the library to meet the needs of our clients. And so lots of flexibility inside of the Microvellum platform. And this is just one example of how a customer can customize it to their specific needs.